In Fallout 4, you can get your hands on some deadly melee weapons, some of which can be considered overpowered, and in this guide I am going to go through 10 of these deadly melee weapons where I am saving the most OP for last in this list. Hi, I'm Mo and I'm trapped in Fallout. For our first melee weapon, we are going to travel to Walden Pond. It is directly far south of Sanctuary. Once you make it to Walden Pond, you can go through this house over here, or instead you can use this sewer tunnel down here by the pond, and you can just go in through here. Once inside, just make your way through and stick to the right hand side, and as you do that, you should come to this opening area. From here, again, keep on sticking to the right hand side, make your way all the way to the end, up the stairs, and right here you should find the big gym. Big Jim has the kneecapper legendary effect. This means it has a 20% chance of crippling a target's leg. It has a base damage of 13 and it will cost you 35 AP points when using this in VATS. This is a solid weapon to help you slow down enemies. It's especially good against large enemies or a pack of enemies that, no pun intended, pack a punch. Another big bonus with the Big Jim is that you don't have to aim for the legs. You can virtually hit a target anywhere on his body and still retain the chance of crippling their legs by 20%, which basically means the enemy will be slowed down, allowing you to perhaps change Big Jim for another weapon and just go to town on the enemy. For our next weapon, we're going to go to Diamond City Market. Once in the market, just visit Mo right here over here at the Swatters, and if you access his barter, you should be able to purchase the Rockville Slugger from him. The Rockville Slugger has the VATS enhanced legendary effect applied to it, and this means when you use it in VATS, you will use 40% less AP than the amount you traditionally would use with baseball based weapons. It has a base damage of 21, and again, when using this in VATS, it will cost you just 21 AP points per action. Although not strictly OP, due to its VATS legendary effect that you can get relatively early on in the game, and also because of the fact that it isn't an exactly expensive weapon, it is easy to get your hands on this, and you can save a lot of VATS points by basically using this when you happen to get close enough to an enemy. For our next melee weapon, we're going to visit the West Everett Estates. It is directly southeast of Covenant. And once you make it to the estate, this area is particularly populated with mutant hounds and super mutants. So I would like to approach it from the east side over here, or rather the west side. And once I do that, you should see a yellow house right over there with a shack. And if you just go inside this shack, you should find our next melee weapon, a Ripper, which should be right over here. The Ripper has a rather low damage output per hit, with a base damage of just about 4. However, unlike other melee weapons, it performs a great number of hits in a small amount of time, making it a very deadly weapon. Given how quickly it can stack the amount of damage it does and the amount of hits it can perform in a small amount of time, this is particularly devastating when you happen to pair this with any Rippers that you find that happen to have a legendary effect. For example, the Big Jim, which I've already talked about in this list, has the kneecapper effect. If you can get your hands on a Ripper that also has the kneecapper effect, then you can just sort of see how quickly you'll be able to take down most enemies with little to no effect. When using this in VATS, it will also cost you 40 AP points. For our next weapon, we're going to visit Good Neighbor. It is far northeast of Diamond City Market. Once you've made it, go into this shop here, the Guns, and speak to Cleo, and with that, select the barter option. And from the barter option, you want to go into weapons, and from here you will find your next melee weapon, the Super Sledge. The Super Sledge, although not a unique weapon, has some interesting traits. Firstly, it has a rather long range compared to other melee weapons, and secondly, it has a high damage output at 40, making this a great melee weapon for more heavy hitting builds. When it comes to VATS, it uses 45 AP points per VATS action, and you can sort of see how this will go very well with builds that happen to deal a lot of damage, especially when pairing this with perks that deal more melee damage. For our next melee weapon, we're going to visit Covenant. When in Covenant, at some point, and again I don't want to spoil the story, but at some point you will get to a situation where you may end up having a bit of a confrontation with Covenant, and when that happens you will end up fighting this NPC here called Swanson, and when you take him out, on him you will find the Chinese officer's sword. The Chinese officer's sword has a base damage of 16 and will cost you 35 AP points per VATS action. However, something that's really great about it that you can use to to further boost the power of it is that the blade itself can be further modified with either the serrated blade causing bleeding damage or an electrified blade causing energy damage. Again, similar to the Super Sledge, when you pair this with certain perks, this will then cause a rather big amount of damage, again making it rather fun to play as a melee based character. And if you made it this far into the video, then please do consider liking this video. I really enjoy reading and replying to as many comments as I can, so please do consider leaving a comment in this video telling me what is your preferred choice of melee weapon in Fallout 4. For our next melee weapon, we're going to go to Jamaica Plain. It is directly southwest of University Point. Once you make it, go to the town hall, and once inside, look to your left and just go through this hole over here, go down and then go straight into the basement. Once in the basement, again, head down the stairs, look to your left and go through these open double doors. From here, you can either go towards the right, but we'll use the door on the left. Go through here and then the hole in the wall, follow this all the way to the end and then look to your left. You'll have to use this terminal over here to open this door. Do that and then go into this treasury room. From here, if you look to your right, you will find the 2076 World Series baseball bat. This is a unique baseball bat that has historic value in Fallout 4. It has a base damage of 16 with an AP cost of 35 per VAS action. More importantly, however, this baseball bat has a 6% chance of sending your targets flying when using in VAS, and this means that it is a little bit easier to take out your enemy, considering that you will cause them damage when you basically send them flying through the sky. For our next melee weapon, we're going to go to Hubris Comics. It is northeast of Diamond City. So again, once you make it, go inside, and once inside, just look immediately in front of you, and on your left should be a display case, and inside the case you should find Grognak's axe. Grognak's axe can cause the target to stagger, and it causes bleed damage. Although not obvious from its description, Grognak's axe also slightly benefits from a VAT legendary effect in that it only uses 20 AP points per VAT's action. It also has a base damage of 25. This means Grognak's axe doubles up as a weapon that has multiple legendary effects. A, it causes enemies to stagger, B, it causes bleed damage, and C, it has less AP requirements when using in VAT. This makes Grognak's axe a very powerful weapon to use in almost any melee build, given the fact that it has multiple effects, some visible and some not. For our next melee weapon, we're going to head into Saugus Iron Works. It is directly southwest of the Museum of Witchcraft, and also southwest of Dunwich Borers. Now once you're actually inside, you will have to make it all the way to the very end, and eventually you will encounter this scene, and you need to take out that NPC over there who is holding our melee weapon, which in this case happens to be the Shishkebab. So I'm just going to go up and pay him a visit with the Grognak's axe that we just grabbed, and I'll take the weapon right off him. And once it's down, just go and take the Shishkebab from him. This is an interesting weapon in that it deals your standard base damage of 13 as well as further energy damage of 13, making this deal a significant amount of damage when compared to other melee weapons in this list of similar size. When using this in VAS, it will cost you 35 AP points per VAS action. The cool thing about this weapon is, first of all, it has this unique look and feel, but more importantly, given its 2 type of damage that it does, it will take out most enemies in just a few hits. For our next weapon, we're going to head to Pickman's gallery. It is southeast of Bunker Hill. Once in the gallery, you will eventually make your way all the way to the very bottom and you will meet Pickman. And when you do that and you will speak to him, he will give you a key. You will need to use this key to open a locked safe. So once you have the key, we will then head our way to that locked safe. After you've got the key, you will make your way over here, which is inside Pickman's gallery. This will all be part of the quest, and you will open the safe, and inside you will find Pickman's blade. This blade actually has 2 effects. The first is the visible legendary effect Wounding that causes 25 bleed damage over 5 seconds. The second is actually a mod that's already been applied to this weapon that increases any sneak attack you do by 0.5%. This makes Pickman's blade an ideal weapon for stealth based builds. When using this in VAT, it will also cost you 20 AP points. And for our last melee weapon, we're going to head to the Dunwich Borers. It is west of the Museum of Witchcraft. Once you make it to the very end of the Dunwich Boroughs, you will eventually find yourself in this room where you will find a shaft that's been filled with water. You will need to make your way to the very bottom, and as you do that you will find this hole, and then if you travel in here you will find Kremvh's tooth sitting on this altar. Unlike almost all melee weapons in this list, Kremvh's tooth is actually a unique mod that's been applied to a machete called the Sacrificial Blade. This means you can take this mod off this machete and apply it to any other machete you want, including other legendary machetes. If you do this, you will benefit from both the legendary effect of the machete you find, as well as the effects of the Sacrificial Blade mod. The mod itself increases the damage of the weapon significantly and also causes additional poison and bleeding damage over a short period of time. It also changes the shape of the machete that it is attached to. When using this weapon in VATS, it will cost you about 30 AP points. The reason why Kremvh's tooth, or rather the mod itself, is too OP is the fact that you can attach it to any other machete. So let's just say you've happened to find a machete that has something like the Kneecapper mod, a legendary effect we've already covered in this guide, and then you attach this particular mod to that machete. Not only will you potentially cripple the enemy, whilst they're crippled they could potentially be poisoned, they will take bleeding damage, and on top of all of that they will take a significant amount of damage because the base damage of the machete weapon would have been increased by the Sacrificial mod. In this guide I went through what I think are some of the best melee weapons in Fallout 4. However, did you know that you can one-shot almost any enemy in the game, even on survival mode, by using the weapon melee damage glitch? Well, if you want to find out more about the melee weapon damage glitch, then click on the video you see on the screen right now. Click on the video you see on the screen right now to find out more about the melee weapon glitch in Fallout 4.